Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Andrew Ondari. I am here to welcome you to this very interesting topic. And this is module 1 of the 6 modules that we have prepared for you. And module 1 is Talent Management Fundamentals. I want to let us know that this is a 6-module course, and the successful completion of this module will earn you a certificate in talent management professional. Those of us who will be doing each module without completion will get a certificate for 1 module completed. You are encouraged to attend all the modules so that you can get all the 6 points. And the beauty with completion of the 6 modules is that you can include it in your CV, and you can therefore call yourself a certified talent management professional. And you can use this anywhere in the world because you have the certificate which will enable you to manage talent effectively. I want us to talk about talent before we go to talent management. Talent can be looked at in 2 ways. One, the inborn abilities of a person which enable him or her to perform their duties or roles efficiently and effectively. Secondly, we can look at talent as employees that we hire, we develop, and retain. And this is what this course entails. Employees, develop them, and also retain them for purposes of business continuity. As HR managers, we have a responsibility of ensuring that we hire the right people to do the right things in the right way at the right time. And therefore, we must put in place strategies to ensure that we attract the top talent from the market, develop them through training, and also retain them through various strategies. Having said that, I want us to move to the areas that we are going to cover today, and that is introduction to talent management, and secondly, strategic workforce planning. Going to the first theme, that is introduction to talent management. I will give an overview of what talent management is for purposes of understanding. By definition, we can say that talent management is a strategic approach which helps to attract, develop, and retain employees. I have highlighted several keywords which will form my. I'll start with strategic. What is strategic? It is about a business plan or a game plan of a business. Strategy is about preparing plans that will enable our organizations to optimize our human resources. Still on strategy, we can say that it is a game plan of achieving a competitive advantage, meaning that we are in competition with other players in the market, both public and private organizations. And an organization that can win this competition is one that utilizes its talent in a strategic manner. And for that reason, we need to prepare strategies for attracting, utilizing, developing, and retaining talent. For attracting, we are talking about soliciting applications from potential candidates to join our organizations or fill vacant positions. We attract potential candidates in three ways. One, through the jobs that we design. Two, through the organization. And three, through the environment. Allow me to briefly talk about attracting people through the jobs. A job can be attractive to a candidate if it has duties and responsibilities that are challenging. Many of us want challenging jobs. So if a job is not well designed, it cannot attract those potential candidates. And therefore, what do we need to do if the jobs are not attracting those candidates? We may need to redesign them so that the jobs become meaningful to the employees. So what are the methods of job redesign? One is job rotation. Two, job enlargement. And three, job enrichment. Job enrichment particularly refers to assigning people more responsibilities, giving them more autonomy and independence, and also allowing them to make decisions. So in the design of our jobs, we advertise them, and these jobs are likely to attract the candidates that we are looking for. On development, we are looking at two things. One, upskilling, and two, reskilling. Upskilling means enhancing the current skills and the knowledge that our employees have. And the reskilling is improving or sharpening the skills of our employees in order to perform better. Lastly, on the element of talent management is retention. That once we attract and develop employees, we should be able to keep them for a long time. Why do we need to keep employees? Again, for two or three main reasons. One, to motivate them so that they can continue to be productive. Two, to prepare them for leadership positions in future. And three, to enhance their careers. So basically, we have defined talent management as a strategic approach which relates to attracting, developing, and retaining employees. What is the focus of talent management? It's about aligning the skills, knowledge, experiences, and abilities with the long-term organizational goals. Talking of alignment, it means mapping the capabilities of employees, mapping to organizational long-term goals. And this means that whatever we do in talent management, either in terms of recruitment, training, performance management, and compensation, should be aligned with long-term organizational goals. And alignment means that the activities involved in talent management should support the attainment of corporate objectives. That's the only way as HR managers are able to succeed in managing our employees. Otherwise, if our activities in talent management are not aligned, we are likely to achieve a strategic drift. By strategic drift means that we deviate from the mission, vision, and corporate objectives. And that is why the element of alignment is very important. This suggests that recruitment should be aligned with long-term objectives. Training should be aligned, and all the other functions. And then what is the nature of talent management? One, it is continuous. That talent management is not a one-time activity. It is an ongoing and never-ending process for as long as the organization exists. Why continuous? It is because of three things. One, changes in workforce. People come and leave organizations. So we need to recruit, train, and develop others. Two, our environment also changes. We need to adapt to changes in the environment, and therefore our talent management activities should also be agile. And three, competition, that we need to achieve a competitive advantage through continuous monitoring of talent management activities. Secondly, on the nature, is that talent management is proactive. Proactive in which way? That it anticipates changes in the future so that we take corrective actions now, as opposed to being reactive. Reactive suggests that we wait for a change to take place and then we start firefighting. So being proactive means that we plan in advance and take measures to take care of the changes that may emerge both within and outside the organization. So talent management is proactive, and I will demonstrate through workforce planning how proactive HR managers can be, so that we don't lose out on our talent and also we retain them. Lastly, on the nature is that talent management is integrated. By integration, we mean that it is linked with other functions as well, like finance, ICT, and even managerial positions. So by integrating talent management, we are able to achieve synergy. That means attaining more or better results by working with other functions like finance or ICT. For example, we may want to attract candidates to our organization. So how do we integrate with ICT? We design jobs, then pass them to ICT for advertisement on our websites. How about finance? We develop compensation plans and then work closely with finance to ensure that people are compensated fairly and competitively. So by its own nature, talent management is continuous, meaning it never comes to an end. It is proactive, means that it forecasts future needs of the organization, and it is integrated because it involves other people within the organization. Another element related to talent management is stakeholders. These are individuals or groups of people who may benefit or can be affected by talent management. And who are these people? The HR team. We are the custodians of employee files. And whatever we do with our human resources can also affect others. If we don't do our jobs well as HR, we are likely to affect the effective functioning of other departments. For example, when we recruit, we must hire top-notch employees in all the departments. If we don't get it right through recruitment, then failure rates of our hires will be very high. Secondly, leaders. Leaders in different departments or departmental heads, or even senior management like CEOs or directors. They have an interest in talent management because they are ultimately the accounting officers of the organization. That if the organization fails, they will be answerable for that failure. And that is why in HR, when we are doing workforce planning, we need to engage our leaders so that they can provide their support in terms of policy and resource allocation. Talking of managers, this could be line managers who are responsible for implementation of talent management strategies in all departments. So we must work closely with these other managers so that we are able to, one, identify the right employees, two, develop them in order to continue performing, and three, retain them. So all managers are responsible for attracting, developing, and retaining those employees. And lastly, the employees themselves, the ones that we are hiring as HR managers. These employees must have the skills, the knowledge, the experience. The employees are involved at several stages. One, at the stage of job analysis, where we are developing job descriptions that we can use in advertisements. Two, we can involve them in interviews. There are those employees who have interviewing skills that we can bring on board so that they can take part in the hiring process. And three, employees can be involved in onboarding. Talent management does not stop at recruitment or hiring. It goes all the way to exit. So after hiring the required employees, they are onboarded. So the employees are brought in so that they can introduce them to the organization and also to their jobs. So employee involvement is key in talent management at all stages of the employment cycle. Lastly, what is the outcome of talent management? I've indicated three key aspects: productive, innovative, and sustainable. A productive workforce is one that produces the results that are required. So what are these results required? One, attainment of targets. Two, customer satisfaction. Three is innovation. So productive people produce results within the specified period of time. Secondly, the other outcome of talent management is innovation. That we need people who are creative in the way they make decisions, in the way they deliver their services, and in the way they relate with others. This suggests that innovative people think without the box. So they are free to design, develop, and implement new ideas, new products, new systems. And for organizations to be competitive, they must emphasize innovation from the time of attracting, hiring, and onboarding employees. So we should not lose sight of innovation as HR managers in this journey of talent management. And the last outcome of talent management is sustainability. That the organization is able to operate for a long time because it has the right number and the quality of employees. And that is part of talent management, ensuring sustainability. So how do we ensure sustainability as HR managers in talent management? One, we hire the right people. Two, we train them so that they can acquire new or emerging skills. Three, we motivate them through fair and competitive compensation and rewards. And also, lastly, we sustain them by way of career development. So an organization can survive for a long time if we manage our talent effectively. What are the types of talent that we should be concerned about as HR managers? There are quite a number of them. I've indicated 6 types of talent. One is the natural talent. Some of us have those inborn abilities that we can use to perform our tasks effectively. So what are the examples of these inborn abilities or natural talent? One, it could be singing. I'm not sure that organizations can use singing to produce results, but that's an inborn ability. However, there is a natural talent that is related to employment. One, leadership. That leadership in some cases is inborn. There are those of us who have natural abilities of leadership. These are the ones that we should attract, develop, and retain, because such leadership talents can help our organization to compete in the market. Other natural talent could be interpersonal skills. There are some of us who are good at interacting with others, communicating, and showing empathy. And others may not have this inborn ability. So with these emotional intelligences that is natural to some people, we are able to utilize these employees so that we can manage our talent effectively. Secondly, there is what they call acquired talent. This is what we gain through education and training. Education in colleges, in universities, or even in schools. We have an education, all of us have an education, either as a CHRP or any other profession that we may have. Some of us may be accountants, others may be engineers. So we acquire these skills through education. Secondly, acquired talent can be through practice, experience. That through experience, we are able to learn new skills, new knowledge. And we can use this experience to perform our tasks effectively. The other one is through training. So training is a process of acquiring skills and knowledge to bridge a performance gap. So unlike education, which is general, training is very specific, geared toward improving a person's performance. And that is why we continuously take our employees for training courses so that they can acquire new skills and knowledge, such as technological skills or leadership skills or communication skills. And for organizations that are keen on investing in their employees, they should invest in training. So training is a very important way of acquiring talent. The other type of talent is creative talent, where employees are innovative or are able to generate new ideas or solve problems. In our organizations, we may have identified employees, for example, in ICT, who are able to develop new software that could help us improve organizational performance and achieve efficiency. So such creative talent, such as software development, is creative talent. And those of us who design web pages, web design, this is also part of creative talent, because in a website, you will see several features like the logos of the organization, the color theme of that organization, and also other images. That is creative talent. Other people are able to solve problems, however complex they are. So problem solving is one of the key aspects that is related to talent. We should be able to identify people who are problem solvers. And that is why today we emphasize three key aspects. One, problem solving. Two, critical thinking. And three, decision making. So for us to survive, even in the space of AI, we need to equip ourselves with those three key aspects. I will repeat. One, problem solving. Two, critical thinking. And three, decision making. Talent type number 4 is technical talent. This involves specialized expertise. Starting with ourselves, we are experts in HR, and that is why we are advisors to all the other managers, including our chief executives, on matters to do with the HR. So we are experts in HR. And that is a technical area because not everybody can perform the work of a HR manager. Other specialized areas include ICT, information communication technology. This is a special area because only those who have been trained and qualified in ICT can perform those functions in ICT. Other areas in our organizations include finance and accounting. Not many of us can perform the role of an accountant or a finance officer. Financial management has to do with effective and efficient management of our financial resources, and also being able to advise managers on areas in which we can invest. Accountants basically keep books, and from these books, we make decisions as financial managers. So technical talent relates to those specialized fields like the ones that I've mentioned, starting with HR, ICT, and finance. Talent number 5 is managerial talent, where the focus is on leadership skills. That, as I have mentioned earlier, that we need people with the leadership skills. These are people who can inspire, motivate, and influence the behavior of others. So leaders inspire in many ways. One, leading by example. Two, being decisive. And three, focusing on the corporate objectives and goals. Because without corporate goals, we lose direction. And we need leaders who can always provide direction. An organization without direction is not inspiring. Today we talk about transformative leadership. Leaders who are able to bring about meaningful change and creating a vision for the organization, mobilizing resources, and getting the buy-in of all the stakeholders. So leadership skills like transformation require talent, and not everybody in an organization has the leadership skills. There are those who want to be directed, and this cannot be leaders. Good leaders are those who take initiative, are accountable, and are willing and ready to lead others. And lastly is high potential talent. In succession planning, we look for potential employees, those who have the right mix of skills, knowledge, experience, and abilities. These are the candidates that we prepare to occupy senior positions through succession planning. And how do we identify people with potential? One, we conduct performance appraisals, which we often do, either quarterly, biannually, or annually. Two, through observations and 3 through surveys. In observations, we are able to identify people who can take initiative, people who can command respect, and people who have the skills and knowledge to perform their jobs without being supervised. And then when we use surveys, we give people questionnaires to identify those among them who have leadership potential. So high potential talent is one that employees have the skills, the knowledge, and the experience that makes them ready to occupy senior or higher positions. So, ladies and gentlemen, those are the 6 types of talent that we can use for 3 things. 1, to achieve organizational objectives. 2, to prepare succession plans. And 3, to retain our employees. Next, before we ask a question or make a comment, are the factors that have led to the emergence of talent management. There are quite a number of factors, given that we operate in a dynamic and complex environment. One of the factors that have led to the emergence of talent management is globalization pressure. Globalization can be defined as the interconnectedness of people and places through technology, communication, and transport. That today organizations are interconnected, especially through technology. That when we do hiring, we are not hiring just for the local market, but also internationally. So when you are thinking of expanding to the international market, you need to think of other potential candidates from other parts of the world. 2, in this global market, we need to compete with other organizations which could be well resourced. Resourced in 2 main ways. 1, financially, and 2, in terms of talent or human resources. And therefore, for us to compete in this global environment, we have to manage our talent efficiently and effectively. How we attract people from this global market. That if you are a health organization, health service organization, you want to compete in this local global market, you need to hire top talent in terms of doctors. And these doctors are not just any doctors, but consultant doctors, so that you can compete globally. And if you don't have to hire them from outside, then you need to train them. That is development. So development is part of talent management, as I indicated earlier. So we need to train them locally or internationally so that we can compete with these other players. The other aspect of globalization is diversity. Today, we operate in a diverse environment where people come from different backgrounds. I want to believe that in some of our organizations, we have people from other countries. And therefore, balancing the different needs of this diverse workforce has led to the emergence of talent management. How do we ensure that people from diverse cultural, educational, religious, and even demographic backgrounds are involved or included in decision making, and there is equity in the way we treat them? And lastly, on globalization pressure is competitive workforce. For us to be said to be competitive, there are two things about our workforce. One, they must be rare, meaning that they are not easy to find. And two, they are unique, that you cannot find them anywhere except in your organizations. Talking of rareness, these are people who have skills that cannot even be imitated by other organizations. You cannot easily find them. So there are some of us who have certain leadership skills that are rare. And that is what makes organizations to be successful, where there is rare leadership. Some of us may have worked in organizations with such rare leadership styles or skills, where the leadership of the organization do not consider themselves as leaders, but as part of the team. And therefore, they take part in most of the activities in the organization. They are available, willing, and supporting to any changes that take place. And these leaders also reward talent, especially those people who perform well. So to achieve competitiveness in our environment, we need to have those unique, those rare, and those inimitable employees that you cannot imitate. Secondly, war for talent is a factor that is affecting or leading to the emergence of talent management. Scarcity of critical skills, that we are competing to acquire those critical skills that will make our organizations successful. So the competition for these scarce skills is intense. And for that reason, we need to ensure that we attract, we develop, and retain these critical skills. Otherwise, we might lose them to the competitors, and that means we lose our competitive advantage. So the war for talent is likely to be won if we have efficient and effective talent management strategies. Thirdly, is the aspect of changing workforce demographics. We operate in a multi-generational environment consisting of three main groups, if I may say, four main groups. One, there are the baby boomers who have just retired or are about to retire. Two, we have Generation X. These are people who are in the 50s or mid-50s. Then we have millennials. And then after millennials, we have the Gen Zs. All this diverse demographic workforce demand inclusive, flexible, and engaging organizational strategies. When you talk of inclusivity, there is the new concept in town called DEIB, EI, that is diversity, equity, and inclusivity. Speaking of inclusivity, we want all the different categories of employees to participate in decision-making processes. So when we hold those meetings, they should be part of it. Then there are those SRC, corporate CSRC, corporate social responsibilities, CSR, we include them. If it is staff development, we include them. When employees are included or are involved in decision making, three things are likely to happen. One, they will be committed to the organization. Two, they will perform their work to expectations. And three, they are likely to remain in the organization for a long time. And this is the desire of all organizations. One, performing. Two, engaged. And three, retained. And that is what makes people valued. Still on the changing demographics, these four categories of employees require flexible work arrangements, flexibility in terms of work. Today, we talk about several types of flexible working. One, home working, especially for the millennials, they could prefer working from home. Two, flexi time, where they report to work at the time convenient to both the employee and the employer. For example, reporting at 8 and leaving at 3, reporting at 10 and leaving at 6. So this flexible working motivates employees because they are able to attend to other duties outside the organization when they are not on site. And then lastly, these categories of people need engagement. An engaged workforce is one that feels valued, motivated, and participating in decision making. So without this engagement, it becomes difficult to attract, to utilize, or even retain this talent we are talking about. Then the other factor is technology. Technology has changed the way we behave and do business in modern organizations. For example, automation of HR services. Shortly, I'll be talking about automation, for example, of recruitment and selection, such as the use of ATS. This automation has meant several things. One, reduction in the time of hiring employees. Two, reduction in the cost of hiring. And three, improvement of performance of the organization. Secondly, AI is the new tool in the market. And all of us interact with the AI on a daily basis. AI mimics human intelligence or thinking. There are several AI tools that we all might have used, such as Gemini, which is owned by Google, or ChatGPT, or DeepSeek. It has made our work easier, especially when we are preparing reports, writing emails, recruiting employees, or even training our employees. We can use AI tools. Then digitization is about adoption of those technological tools to facilitate work performance. So through technological advancements, we are able to manage our talent more effectively. The second last factor is employee expectations. When we join any organization, we have a set of expectations that we could wish the organizations or managers to meet. And there are quite a number of these expectations. One is career development, 2, recognition, and 3, satisfaction. Talking of meaningful careers, this has to do with the jobs that we design for our employees so that they can perform their roles effectively. Meaningful jobs are those that are challenging enough, are those that require more freedom and more autonomy in decision making. Speaking of careers, today careers are changing. Even the career of a human resource manager will be changing. We will be moving away from the traditional HR functions like recruitment, training, performance management, to more strategic kind of function. That we are not just there to hire, to train, but we are also there to think critically, make decisions, and also solve problems. So we are moving towards a space of critical thinking, problem solving, and decision making. So as HR managers, we aspire to join organizations that provide opportunities or an environment where they can think critically, solve problems, and make decisions without interference. Interference results from organizational politics, either from below the organizational structure or in the middle or at a higher level, especially when it comes to recruitment. That some of our leaders could want their relatives or friends to be hired. So we want to give our HR managers all the freedom and autonomy to make decisions without interference. On recognition is about identifying those people who are high performance and rewarding them. You can reward them through promotion, through certificates, or through other means like paid leave. And all these lead to employee satisfaction. Satisfaction is about being contented with the 3 things which I have already mentioned earlier. 1, satisfaction with the job. 2, satisfaction with the organization. And 3, satisfaction with the working environment. So if employees are not satisfied, then 2 or 3 things will happen. 1, they will not work to expectation. Their performance will be average or below. And 2, they might exit the organization through resignation because there is no promise of growth in such organization. And lastly, another factor leading to the emergence of talent management is business sustainability. Yesterday on social media, I watched a clip of a young girl who closed her business just after 2 months. Why did she close? There are several factors that may have contributed to this. One, the market. These are the clients. Two, the economic environment. And three, the employees. I want to address myself to employees because a business can only be sustainable through employees. These employees should be of the right caliber. That means they have the right skills, the right knowledge, the right experience, and the right abilities. Therefore, in talent management, we attract, develop, and retain these employees for purposes of sustaining the organization. So how do we ensure that the organization is sustainable and competitive? One, we prepare career plans for our employees. Through career planning, we are able to sustain our organizations because the employees will remain in the organization without leaving. Two, we prepare succession planning, where we have a pipeline of leaders who are able to fill vacant positions at a higher level. That without this pipeline, an organization may not be sustainable because we may not have the right number and the quality of employees to occupy those higher positions for continuity. And three, on sustainability, we retain our employees. So there are three things about sustainability. One, career development. Two, succession planning. And three, retention. So in talent management, we talk about all those things so that we can make our business sustainable. This reminds us of the new role of the HR managers. There are about 5 new roles that HR managers should play. 1, strategic partner. 2, business partner. 3, employee champion. And 4, change agent. When you talk of business partner, that as a business partner, you are looking at 1, business sustainability. How can we keep our organization going for a long time? 2 is about customers. How do we attract and retain customers so that they continue bringing us the required revenue? And 3, as a business partner, we think about competitiveness. How can we make our businesses competitive, especially in the area of human resources? As I indicated earlier, there are 3 things that can make our human resources competitive. 1, they are rare. 2, they are unique. And 3, they cannot be imitated. If we can attract, retain, and develop those 3 kinds of skills and knowledge, then we become competitive. So ladies and gentlemen, those are the factors that have led to the emergence of talent management. I want to pause there for a while and invite questions or comments so that we can move to the next level. I will go back to where we started. That is the purpose or introduction of talent management. 2, types of talent. And 3, factors leading to the emergence of talent management. So the floor is ours. If you have a question, you have a comment, please go ahead. In no particular order, I can ask Betty to make a comment or ask a question if you have any.
Good morning.
Good morning, Betty. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yes.
Actually joined a little bit late, but for the time that I've been there, I've been able to learn so much.
Yes.
And I think this is very, very important. But when we talk about the rare and the unique, um, and talent that cannot be imitated, I'm just
Yes.
looking at our organization, and I'm now wondering, can I really identify a rare talent from the people that we have? That these
Yes.
people cannot find them elsewhere. How do you attract that rare person? I think that is what kept coming back to my mind.
Yes.
Yeah, I think. But I'm really, really happy that I joined.
Thank you, Betty, and I'm happy that you are enjoying this program. Uh, Talking of identifying those unique, rare, and unimitable talent, you can do one or two things. One is to assign them or give them stretch assignments, uh, either individually or in groups. When you give an individual a stretch assignment, you are able to get results. And sometimes there are those who have those rare talents who can then generate or bring out more results that you could have, that you might not have expected. Uh, if you remember this program called The Apprentice by Donald Trump, this is now a team-based assignment where people are given stretch assignments as teams. So people work together in these assignments and demonstrate their rare skills, their rare knowledge or experiences. And at the end of that assignment, you are able to identify people who have unique skills in leadership or people who have unique skills in performing certain activities, such as creativity. We talked about creative talent. And we also mentioned managerial leadership talent. So you can identify emerging leadership skills and knowledge among the people who are working as a team. So two things. One, give employees stretch assignments. And two, assign people in teams, and you can identify those people with unique skills in terms of leadership. Esther.
Thank you.
Thank you, Betty. Esther, if you are there, you can make your comment or ask a question. Amina, if you are there. Okay, Mary.
Good morning.
Okay, Amina, go on.
Good morning.
Morning, Amina. How are you today?
Fine, thank you. Thank you for the session. It is
Yes.
very educative.
Yes.
I have a question on the career planning for employees.
Yes, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
I would like your advice or your guidance on one or two ways of doing the career planning for employees.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. There are two things about career development or career planning. One, there is the individual objectives that a person may want to achieve in his or her life in the organization. And two, there are those organizational objectives that you as a HR manager, you want to achieve through people. So in career planning, you as a HR manager needs to sit with the employee and define their career objectives. What do they want to be in future? And that is where your career guidance comes in. So once you have sat with the employee, identified their strengths and weaknesses and their expected career projections, then you are able to advise them on which career is suitable for them based on their strengths, weaknesses, and the opportunities that are available. And then from there, based on the current position, you can now prepare them for either HR positions, finance position, or ICT position, and identify higher roles within the organizational structure to which they can be promoted in line with their career aspirations. If there are employees who are occupying jobs for which they don't qualify, then you may have to redeploy them to the positions for which they qualify. Then two, having identified those careers, then you initiate training and development programs so that they can grow within their career choices. So if it is somebody in finance who has skills, knowledge, and experience in finance, they need to grow within finance, and therefore you train them on financial areas. You can take them to a university to do finance. If not, you can take them for workshops, seminars, and conferences where financial matters are being discussed. Or three, you mentor and coach them in areas to do with finance so that each employee grows within their career lines, such as HR, finance, ICT, marketing, among others. So Amina, when you are preparing your career plans, sit with the employees, identify their strengths and weaknesses, identify their career objectives, and then align them with the positions that exist in the organization. Where they cannot be aligned, you may need to train or retrain them so that you sharpen their skills in those areas of specialization. So thank you, Amina.
Thank you.
Any other person with a question or a comment? Albert? Okay. I saw Nancy. Nancy, go on.
Morning, class.
Morning to you.
Mwalimu, I just wanted to appreciate the elaborate presentation for the last two topics. I mean, for the last one or two topics. My question is, how do you navigate institutional politics when you are trying to align staff according to their specific, I mean, as you try to do the talent management? Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Nancy, for your question. How do we align?
How do you navigate the politics?
Yeah, how do we navigate the politics?
Yeah.
How do we navigate the politics in the organization? when we are trying to align our talent with their careers. Three things. One, record keeping. Keep a record of all the decisions and processes that you have in your organization, so that when you make a decision to question the integrity of your decision, you have data to show them. So data is very key in navigating organizational politics, that you keep a record of everything that you have done, either in terms of recruitment or promotion or even redeployment. That the moment anybody else starts questioning your decision, you are able to argue your case out with evidence. Number two is professionalism. We are all trained as HR managers, and we promote our profession. Our fidelity to the profession requires several things. One, integrity. That we should not compromise any process or any decision that we make. That the moment you compromise a decision because a higher manager wants things to be done in a particular way, then we lose sight of effective talent management. Still on the profession, transparency. That as a professional, you need to be transparent. For example, when you are developing these careers or hiring new people into the organization. When everything is on the table, there's nothing to be hidden. And that everybody can see what, how, and where things happened, then you are likely to reduce on organizational politics. And then number three, involvement and consultation. As I mentioned earlier, there is the element of stakeholders in talent management. Involve everybody in the preparation of these career plans. Involve the employees, involve the senior managers, also involve the other departmental managers who are your colleagues. Through involvement, we are able to bring on board all the ideas that will go into career development or career planning. Two, we are likely to reduce resistance to change. And three, we are likely to ensure ownership of the decisions that we make. So three things. One, have all the data to support your decisions. Two, involve all the stakeholders. And three, be professional. Integrity and transparency will be your guide. And if it is coming from the top management and they want you to do things in a certain way, you can write your advisory and let it be on record, so that in future, you are not victimized that you made a decision against the organizational policy or against the law. So you will have protected yourself in those three ways. I know sometimes it's easier said than done, but it's always good to try and fail than fail to try. Mary?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much. I think on talent management, my greatest interest is for purposes of retention.
Yes.
Especially in the era of technology and handling the different generations, and where we are having people working in shifts, just to see how best to be able to manage and retain, and also just align with the needs of these employees.
Yes.
That's my concern, and I'm happy you've addressed the issue of career planning and guidance for the employee. I think that's something of interest that personally I'm working on.
Thank you very much, Mary. Then we move on to the next slide, and that is the principles of talent management. That you can do everything else or miss doing everything else, but not this one. A principle is a guideline that will make talent management more effective. Or you can call them rules of talent management. So if you want to be successful in talent management, there are several principles that you may want to apply. One of the principles is fairness. We need to be fair in all our activities and decision making. Fairness in recruitment, fairness in training, fairness in compensation, fairness in discipline, fairness in performance management, among others. If people perceive unfairness, they are likely to do three things. One, disengage. Two, underperform. And three, quit. So if people become disengaged, underperform, and quit, then we have failed to manage our talent effectively. Speaking of equal opportunities, this comes in two areas. One, in recruitment and selection. Recruitment and selection is one area where we apply equal opportunities. How do we apply this? That anyone who qualifies to occupy any position is given an equal chance to be selected. And that is why we have in our policies equal opportunity employment, or we are equal opportunity employers. So when you are hiring people, irrespective of their position or station in life, they have an equal chance of being hired. The other area of equal opportunity is training. I am aware of some organizations, both private and public, where a few individuals are the only ones selected to be trained. And again, for obvious factors, this is unfair, where a few employees are trained to the disadvantage of others. And again, if you are a HR manager, you cannot hope to succeed in training employees if only a few select employees are trained. You may be setting up yourself for failure. So equal opportunities give fair opportunities to all the employees who qualify for training. And therefore, how do you make sure that everybody has an equal opportunity? One, for example, in public sector, there is a policy that every employee has a right to be trained at least twice or once in a year. So in terms of compliance, you as a HR manager must ensure that all employees have been given an opportunity to train at least once or twice. Secondly, you should base your training and development initiatives on training needs analysis, so that only those who need training should be taken for training. So that if an employee is a HR officer, has already been trained, is performing well, you may not want them to be trained. You may focus on those who have training needs. For one to be said to have a training need, it means that there is a performance gap. And a performance gap may be exemplified by the following. One, failure to meet targets. Two, wastage of resources. Three, experiencing difficulties. And four, emergence of new technologies. So any person who demonstrates all these gaps is eligible for training, so that we train people for purpose, not just for fun. Secondly, unfairness is about transparency, that we do things in an open manner, that if there is a vacant position, let it be advertised internally. If it is training, let every manager identify employees who have training needs. If it is performance management, we set KPIs and targets with the involvement of all the stakeholders. Or if it is discipline, it should be done openly through a disciplinary committee, so that being made quietly without the knowledge of people. So transparency is important for purposes of ensuring fairness. The other one is inclusivity, where people are allowed to participate in decision-making processes. Nobody should be left out, whether it is the able-bodied people or people with disabilities. So everybody should be included and given an opportunity to participate in those decisions. Secondly is alignment. Alignment, as I indicated earlier, is connecting or fitting all the HR practices with the organizational mission, vision, and strategy. If there is a disconnect between HR practices with the mission, then the organization fails to achieve its purpose. What are these HR practices we are referring to? For example, in recruitment and selection, there are several practices. One is internal advertisement to give people opportunities to apply. Two, background checks, especially when we are hiring. That's a practice. When and where do we do the background check? Is it before placement of a person or after? And that will be defined by your policy. In training, the practices are many. One, I can mention three. One is training needs assessment or analysis, which is a good practice. that without this training needs analysis, then you'll be training people for fun, which is a wastage of resources. Another practice in training could be evaluation of training. That at the end of a training initiative, we should be able to evaluate 3 or 4 things. One is results. Have the employees improved their performance? 2, behavior. Have the employees changed their behavior which affected their performance? 3, transfer of knowledge. Have the employees been able to transfer their knowledge from the training center to the workplace? So 2 key practices in training. 1, training needs analysis, and 2, training evaluation. Why do we do all these practices? It is because we want to achieve the organizational mission, vision, and strategy. Mission is the purpose of existence. An organization exists either to produce goods or produce services. Different types of services, depending on the industry or the type of organization. So whatever HR practices that we engage in, they should be aligned with the mission. And these practices relate to the areas of talent management, like recruitment and selection practices, training and development practices, performance management practices, employee relations practices, and also compensation practices. And how do we ensure that the practices are aligned? One key thing, conduct a HR audit. And I will invite you to join us in HR audit courses that we offer from time to time. You conduct an evaluation of all the practices, all the policies, all the systems, as well as processes. Through this audit, you are able to identify gaps which may not make all the functions aligned. So be careful to conduct a HR audit for purposes of alignment, alignment with the corporate strategy, alignment with the labor laws, and alignment with the industry standards. Another core principle is consistency. And consistency brings about predictability. If your systems and the processes are not predictable, then instability occurs because nobody knows what to expect next. And through consistency, we are able to implement uniform processes in areas like recruitment, retention, and development initiatives. So the question that one could ask, how do we ensure uniformity in processes? 2 things. 1, you develop a clear policy in all the areas, clear policies. This will enable you to make these uniform decisions, because you are given guidelines in this policy and you know the procedures to be followed in case of disciplinary issues or in case of performance management. You have a clear policy on those areas. Secondly, you must have clear SOPs to ensure uniformity. SOPs. These are standard operating procedures. In every function of HR, you should be able to have SOPs, like recruitment, what's the process? Training, what's the process? Performance management, what's the process? All these aspects like policy and SOPs help us to achieve consistency. Another principle is flexibility. Today, we are talking about employee and organizational agility. Agility is the ability of an individual or organization to adapt quickly to changes in the environment. Adaptation is the key word here when you talk of flexibility. You adapt to changes like strategy, changes like policy, changes like labor laws, or changes in industry standards. And if these changes occur, then workforce practices may also have to be agile. I've mentioned some of the practices in recruitment and in training. So these practices must also change in tandem with the changes in our environment. If these practices are very rigid, then we run the risk of breaking. Breaking in terms of growth, we can't grow. 2, breaking in terms of success, we can't succeed. Breaking in terms of competitiveness, we can't compete. So there are many ways in which we break if we become rigid. So our policies, our practices, our systems and processes must adapt quickly to changes in the environment. Through adaptation, we are able to develop resilience. This resilience is about the ability to cope with the crisis when it occurs. So flexibility is very important. 1, for purposes of alignment. 2, for purposes of being competitive. And 3, for purposes of resilience. Another practice is engagement. I can talk about engagement in 2 ways. 1, having employees do enough tasks for them to be occupied the whole day, meaning that all of us must have enough duties and responsibilities that will enable us to be engaged the whole day or occupied. Occupying might not be the right word, but engagement is. Because somebody can be occupied but not bringing value. When you are occupied the whole day and you bring value, then you are said to be engaged in meaningful activities. So in engagement, we talk about occupying employees the whole day so that at no time during the day they are idle, because we know people who are idle can cause problems in an organization. Second, we talk about engagement in terms of commitment to the organization and willing to dedicate effort, energy, and resources to the organization. And that is what I want to address. Engagement in terms of commitment. So how do we ensure that employees are committed? 3 things as I have indicated there. 1, involvement. 2, recognition. And 3, growth opportunities. Involvement, as it were, is about allowing employees to participate so that their ideas, their contributions are valued. Then recognition is appreciating employees for work well done or bringing new ideas or innovations. They should be rewarded. And then 3, growth. All of us want to grow from lower positions to higher positions. When there are no such growth opportunities, 2 things happen. 1, we stagnate. And 2, we look for other opportunities elsewhere, and that means turnover, we exit. And the talent management is not about exiting, we want to ensure that we retain those top talents. And we can retain them through involvement, recognition, and growth opportunities. Lastly, sustainability, that the organization is able to survive for a long time and be competitive. Organizations that do not strategize in terms of talent are likely to stagnate or even collapse. If you let your top talent to leave the organization, collapsing is on the way. But if you train them, you reward them, you compensate them fairly and equitably, then you are likely to keep them for a long time. So talent management in terms of sustainability is about building long-term, resilient, and adaptable workforce. I've talked about flexibility, which is adaptation. Resilience is about overcoming crisis, and long-term is about projecting into the future 3, 4, or even 10 years from now. So those are the key principles that underpin talent management. Again, when I give us an opportunity to ask our questions, I will come back to this. What are the activities involved in talent management? These are the areas that we perform as HR managers almost on a daily basis. I've given 6 activities, starting with workforce planning. This is what you call human resource planning or personnel planning. It is about forecasting future human resource requirements and how these requirements will be met. I indicated earlier that talent management is proactive, and the human resource planning is one of the ways in which we can make talent management proactive. Again, I will talk about this in a short while, that in your plan, you compare between demand and supply for labor. This is basic labor economics. Demand and supply. Where demand for labor is more than supply, there is a shortage. And therefore, what do you need to do? Recruitment and selection. Still on planning, where supply and demand, where supply is more than demand, there is a surplus. And when there is a surplus, you need to restructure, either by way of downsizing or redesigning jobs or delayering. These are concepts that we can talk about later. 3, where supply and demand are equal in your planning, there is an equilibrium, which means that you have enough employees. What do you do when you have enough employees? You develop retention strategies on the understanding that the enough people have the right mix of skills, knowledge, and experience. Those are the people you retain. So one of the key activities in talent management is human resource planning, where you focus future requirements and then you prepare plans based on the gaps that you will have identified. So the gaps could be a shortage or a self-deficit, or it could be a surplus. Secondly, is recruitment as an activity in talent management. Recruitment as it is, or by definition, is attracting potential and available candidates. Potential candidates are those people who have the skills, knowledge, and experience. These are the ones that we are looking for. We do not have the luxury of time, money, and even saliva to waste on people who are not qualified. And for that reason, it is advisable as HR managers to design jobs in a way that those who are not qualified can deselect themselves. Deselection. You look at the qualifications required and somebody says, no, this is not my position. So they deselect themselves. So in recruitment, we attract people, as I said, to three things. One, to the job. What can attract people to the job? Two things: duties and responsibilities. Secondly, the pay, money. So we can be attracted to the job because the job is paying well. Secondly, we can be attracted to the organization. What can attract us to that organization? Two things. One, the brand name. We all want big names. And we have enough examples in Kenya which may attract us, either in the telecommunication industry or in the banking sector or in manufacturing like motor vehicles. You may want to join one of those organizations. And then three, in terms of organizations, is the working environment and the conditions. This also suggests the location of the organization. There are some organizations that are located in very remote areas, anywhere in the country, which may not be attractive to some candidates. Still on the work environment at the organization, we are talking about the physical and the social environment. The physical is related to the health and the safety conditions. If the environment is risky in terms of health and safety, then candidates may not be attracted. The other environment is social environment. These are the relationships between employees or between employees and managers. This social environment is expected to be conducive and democratic. A democratic social environment is where people participate in decision making, are given equal opportunities, are recognized for their contribution. So candidates will look for these three things in an organization: the job, the organization itself, and the working environment. Then another activity is training. This is about two things. One, upskilling, or two, reskilling. And we can do this through several means. One, learning activities in schools or in colleges and universities. Two, mentorship, where we partner more experienced and knowledgeable employees with novices. Novices are employees who may not be experienced. So in mentorship, we partner experienced and knowledgeable people with inexperienced and unknowledgeable people. So this mentorship can also be made to be part of the KPIs so that we make it more meaningful and measurable. When measuring mentorship, we look at the number of employees who have been mentored by a particular manager or employee. In the traditional way of looking at mentorship, it's about senior managers mentoring junior staff. But today we talk about reverse mentorship, where junior staff who are more knowledgeable can mentor senior staff. I guess this is a rare occurrence, but it happens. And then development is about preparing junior staff for senior positions in future. And that is what you call management development. So in management development, we talk about coaching, talk about mentorship, talk about workshops, seminars, delegation, and also giving stretch assignments. These are some of the ways in which we can develop our managers so that they can occupy senior positions in future. The other key activities, performance management, is about those 4 key aspects. 1, setting goals. 2, appraising the performance. 3, supporting employees. And 4, regular monitoring and evaluation. So in performance management, setting of goals is important. These goals must be specific and measurable so that we are able to track progress. If they are not specific and measurable, they become vague and therefore difficult to achieve. In appraisal, we are evaluating the performance of an employee based on the targets, KPIs, and objectives set. So to what extent is the employee achieving this? So we look at the quality of service or a quality of product as an area of appraisal. There are many ways of, many methods that we can use to appraise people. One, the most common is self-appraisal, where we give employees an opportunity to assess themselves. 2 is peer appraisal, where employees at the same level appraise each other. 3, upward appraisal, which is very rare, especially in public sector, where junior staff appraise their supervisors. Another method of appraisal is downward appraisal, which is again very common. Senior managers appraise junior staff. Another method, especially for those who interact with customers, is what you call customer appraisal, where customers assess the performance of employees. I'm sure many of us have visited organizations. You start assessing the organization from the gate. How are you received by the security personnel? You go to the reception, how are you received? You go to the offices, how are you received? I want to give a personal experience of KRA at Wilson Airport. I was there yesterday and the reception was fantastic. From the gate to the offices, very good. I was even treated to a cup of tea. And for that reason, I give them a thumbs up. And in terms of supporting employees, we support them through several things. 1, provision of tools and equipment. 2, training them so that they can perform better. And 3, motivating them through rewards or competitive compensation. So those are the 3 or 4 aspects related to managing performance: setting goals, appraising, and supporting employees. I'd also mentioned there's the element of continuous monitoring, that performance management is not a one-time activity. It is continuous. And that is why we need to monitor progress on a regular basis so that we identify deviations and take corrective measures on time. Second last activity is retention programs. Remember, we said 3 things about talent management. 1, attracting talent. 2, developing talent. And 3, retaining talent, retention. So how do we retain or keep this top talent? I've given a few ways of retention. 1, benefits. Benefits like medical cover, which is comprehensive. A comprehensive medical cover may include maternity, outpatient and inpatient, eye treatment, dental treatment, among others. And each of them could be given a budget. So if it's dental, you get 500,000 a year. If it is maternity, 1 million. If it is eye problem, 1 million. Fairly competitive. But I'm not sure whether we have organizations that give 1 million for dental health or medical care. 2 is recognition. That is appreciating people for good performance. We can recognize performance in several ways. 1, giving them a bonus. At the end of the year or half year, we can give them a bonus for their contribution. This can be individual bonus or group bonus. 2, we can give them time off. That having worked so hard and achieved so much result, we can give them time off to go and relax and enjoy themselves with their families and friends. Or we can give them paid holidays. That's another form of recognition. And then lastly, we support them in various ways, either through monetary or non-monetary means, or we can give them tools, equipment, and facilities so that they can continue performing. There are other supportive initiatives like training. Training is a retention program. 2, competitive compensation, which means that the level of compensation is either at the market rate or above the market rate. When it's above the market rate, we are likely to attract more talent. And then lastly, succession planning, where we are developing internal managers to occupy leadership positions. So how do we develop, or how do we ensure that we have enough internal leaders to occupy senior positions? 1, delegation. 2, team or group assignments. 3, job rotation. 3, job enrichment. 4, training. 5, coaching. And 6, mentorship. So succession planning is not something that you do in one day. It is a continuous process for as long as employees join and leave organizations. So succession plan should start as early as onboarding up to the time the employee exits the organization. And in succession planning, depending on the structure of your organization, there are those that might move faster in the organogram than others. Why? Because they may not have potential to succeed others. So what do managers do when employees may not have that potential? One, they can demote them on account of non-performance. Two, they can stagnate without promotion. And then three, they can do what we call accelerated leadership development. That a junior employee who has potential to occupy a leadership position is facilitated to occupy a senior position in a shorter time. And how do we do that? One, intensive training programs on leadership. Two, intensive coaching and mentorship. And three, external training programs so that they can be accelerated to acquire those leadership skills for purposes of succeeding those who leave the organization, either through retirement, through resignation, termination, and God forbid, through death. So these are the many activities that we engage in. Somebody might ask, Mwalimu, what happens to health and safety? What happens to employee relations? Yes, these are functions. And within those functions, there are many activities. And I didn't want to involve or rather to talk about them here because they don't directly speak to activities. Health and safety is about conditions in the organization, and therefore that might not be an activity. Two, you talk about employee relations. That's not an activity. It's about creating an environment where people can work collaboratively. Before we take a break for questions and comments, let us look at benefits of talent management. I've indicated 5 or 6. One is productivity, where we are able to optimize our resources. Resource optimization has to do with efficient utilization of resources. Efficient. That means reducing the cost of labor. And how do we ensure that we optimize our workforce? Because we know from experience that we can use our employees wastefully. Wasteful utilization of human resources is not optimizing. How can employees be wasted? I can mention 3 ways in which we can waste our employees. One, assigning them wrong jobs or roles. That means they are doing jobs for which they are not qualified. 2, assigning them few roles. That means they are not occupied the whole day, meaning half of the day is wasted. And 3, assigning them duties outside their scope. And that is why we are advised to ask questions about this clause in our appointment letters. And the clause is, I quote, and any other duties that may be assigned from time to time, end of quote. So assigning people duties outside their scope is a way of wasting them. So then how do we optimize these employees? 1, assign them the right jobs. 2, assign them enough jobs. There's a difference. Assign them the right jobs. And 2, assign them enough tasks so that they are occupied the whole day. And 3, do not overload them. So if you are overloading employees, 2 things may result. 1, stress, and 2, burnout. And that is what we are trying to avoid in talent management. Secondly is engagement, which I've already mentioned, that through talent management, our employees feel valued because they are involved in decision making. They are motivated because they are compensated, and they are aligned because they help to achieve corporate objectives. Thirdly is retention, that through effective talent management, we reduce turnover. We all know the costs associated with turnover. 1, disruption of performance. 2, the cost of replacement. And 3, loss of that brand image or name. And therefore, what do we do to retain employees? Training, career development, compensation, and also a conducive work environment. Growth is another benefit. We can talk of growth in 2 ways. 1, growth of employees in terms of positions, and 2, growth of the organization in terms of new products, systems, and processes, or even customer base. So when we manage our talent effectively, our employees are able to perform their jobs effectively, which leads to expansion in terms of markets or products, innovation, that is being creative, and business sustainability, that we are able to keep our organization for a long time without collapsing. The other benefit is being competitive. That means you are able to attract top talent. Top talent, as I have mentioned earlier, are people who have the following characteristics. 1, they are skilled. 2, they are highly knowledgeable. 3, they have abilities, such as leadership abilities. And lastly, they have a positive attitude. These are the people we are looking for. And then lastly, reputation, the employer image. Through talent management, we are able to promote a positive image for our organizations. Where does it begin? From the time we advertise positions, that if the advertised positions are poorly done, the image is at stake. 2, when the employees come for interviews, what they experience touches on the company image. 3, when they are inducted or onboarded, again, they get the other side of the organization. So we must strengthen all the talent management strategies and areas, such as recruitment. We must make it attractive to employees so that we promote that brand name. 2, we train our employees on a continuous basis so that we are regarded as investors in people. We invest in people through training and other areas. 3, we must compensate our employees for purposes of retaining them. And not just any other compensation, but one that is internally equitable and externally competitive. So ladies and gentlemen, those are the benefits of talent management. And I will now wish to take you back to the 3 slides that we have covered, starting with the core principles of talent management. Secondly, the key activities in talent management. And 4, the benefits of talent management. Anybody with a question or a comment or compliment to make, please go ahead. I haven't heard a few voices. Neptune, if you are available, you can ask a question or a comment. Okay. Yes, go ahead, Neptune.
Good morning, team. Mwalimu, I'm happy to be here. I'm at a noisy place, so allow me to mute so that I don't interrupt, but I'm closely following. Thank you. It is a very insightful presentation.
Thank you, Neptune, and sorry for the noise. Emmy? Okay. Emmy, are you there? Gloria? If you are there, you can make a comment or ask a question so that we move on. Okay. Albert, as the last one, I'm calling out. All right. Apparently, there is no question or comment. I would assume that we are doing well. And for that reason, we move to the next slide so that we can finish the first part of this training. That is challenges of talent management. As HR managers, we face many challenges, particularly in this field of talent management. As we have said, talent management covers all the functional areas of a manager. One of the challenges is talent shortages, that there are certain core skills that we need, and unfortunately, they are not available in the market. So finding and retaining such skills may be a challenge because they are not readily available. And if they are available, they might be expensive, and therefore retaining them might be a challenge. For example, today we are talking about AI technology, data analytics, and data science. Very few organizations have this kind of talent. And if they are available, we compete for them. And that is why, in many cases, we do three things: headhunting, two, poaching, and three, retention. So poaching is about going out there to other organizations and sweet talking those employees to join you because they have the skills and the knowledge that you desire to have. And headhunting is about looking for leaders, either senior management or even CEOs. Headhunting. And once we get this talent, the elephant in the room could be retaining these employees. For those who are headhunted, the retention strategy is to gold chain them, gold chaining. Mm. Ladies and gentlemen, sorry, I had a network interruption here. So I was talking about goal chaining and ring fencing. You goal chain those people whom you have headhunted and ring fence those people that you have poached. How do you goal chain? Give them bonuses, give them or make them part of shareholding, and also give them treats like holidays abroad. Goal chain. And for those ring fencing, you give them competitive pay and also promotion or growth opportunities. Employee retention is another challenge. That high turnover is always a challenge in many organizations where employees are leaving for various reasons, either because of the working conditions, the compensation, or the management style. And again, all employees have a right to resign, and this is a right in the Employment Act. So you cannot prevent employees from leaving. Even those that you have bonded after training have a right to leave, as long as they pay the bond or pay whatever costs that may have been incurred. 3 is the skill gap. We want innovative and creative employees. And as we said, there are various types of talent. There is this creative talent where people create systems, processes, which streamline operations. So people with such skills are rare to find and therefore becomes a challenge. The other one is employee engagement. That is keeping employees motivated, loyal, and committed. Because what motivated employees yesterday may not motivate them today. We are humans and different things motivate us at different times. On leadership development, it's about preparing employees for future positions. And in some cases, we are not able to find potential leaders to occupy those positions. What normally happens is that we do the accelerated leadership development, which is expensive, or we get people from outside. And when we get people from outside, we are likely to discourage those people who are not promoted. And lastly is about cost. All the activities in talent management, starting with the recruitment, training, performance management, and succession planning, they are very costly. So if cost is a factor and budgets are lean, then it becomes a challenge to effectively manage talent. What are the best practices in talent management? This should not be confused with the core principles. Practices are things that we should do on a daily basis to ensure that our talent is managed effectively. One is the employer branding, promote that positive image in attracting employees and making employees our friends. In that way, they will feel wanted, they will feel valued, and they can contribute to their best. An inclusive culture where equity, diversity, and belonging are valued is what constitutes a best practice. Inclusive culture. Let nobody be left out. Continuous learning. We learn from each other as teams. We learn individually through training, and we also learn through mentorship and coaching. This continuous learning enables people to improve their skills, improve their performance, and advance in their careers. Third last is employee recognition. Anybody who has made a positive contribution should be rewarded, so that one, we are able to encourage innovation. 2, we are able to encourage performance. And 3, we are able to retain those top talent. The other best practice is data analytics, that in all the activities in talent management, like training and development, we must have data analytics. For example, the cost of training or the average number of trainees or the time for training. Those are analytics. In recruitment, we are talking about the time to hire, 2, the cost of hiring, and 3, the satisfaction with hiring process. We must get these analytics. And how do we get these analytics? We should conduct regular surveys and HR audits so that we get data on the basis of which we can make decisions. Lastly, as a best practice is the adoption of technological tools in recruitment, in training, and performance management. In recruitment, we can use ATS, that is automated tracking system, that we are able to tell the position of an application. 2, training, we can use a technology like LMS, that is learning management system, where we input learning materials, learning programs, and also monitor the number of people who have successfully completed the training programs in the LMS. And lastly, we talk about performance management system for performance management. There are some of us who use 360 Microsoft, and for some, they use other platforms for managing performance. Together with performance, we can use dashboards where we can get real-time data so that we can monitor what is going on in terms of performance. So those are the best practices in talent management. Now let us look at the role of HR managers in talent management, and this is where we come in squarely. We need to plan and anticipate staffing needs by way of preparing a human resource plan. And not just any other human resource plan, it should be a workable human resource plan. A workable human resource plan has these 5 components. 1, it has an area. 2, it has a gap to be bridged. 3, it has a person responsible. 4, it has resources. And 5, it has timelines. And this is what makes HR planning actionable. And then secondly, as a HR manager, you need to provide support through mentorship and training, among others, where mentorship is about guiding junior or even senior staff to perform their work effectively. And for training, we take them for training programs such as the one that we are having, or other training programs like counseling or performance management. Another role is monitoring, that we should not stop assessing or tracking the performance of our employees or their levels of satisfaction and their development rates. Looking at performance, we need to monitor performance so that we identify deviations, and that when we make decisions like transfers, promotions, or even training, we are basing our decisions on data, because monitoring provides data. On satisfaction, we want to retain our employees because dissatisfied employees are likely to leave. So we need to monitor the pulse of our organization in terms of satisfaction. And then development is about improving our crop of leadership through mentorship, through delegation, and through special assignments. 4 is policy development. In all the areas of talent management, we have policy guidelines like recruitment policy, training policy, performance policy, disciplinary policies, communication policy. There are many. All our decisions should be based on policy. When there are policy gaps, then managing talent becomes difficult. And that is why we need to audit our policies on a regular basis so that they can continuously help us to be fair and transparent in the way we perform our activities. The other role is integration. Integration in two ways. One, all the HR functions work together in tandem. That recruitment is integrated with training. Training is integrated with performance. Performance is integrated with compensation. When there's this alignment, we are able to achieve a holistic view of the organization. Secondly, another alignment is the overall organizational goals and objectives, as well as mission. That whatever we do in talent management, we should help to support the attainment of the mission, vision, and the corporate objectives. And lastly is advisory. As HR managers, we advise several people. One, the employees in our departments. Two, the managers in other departments. And three, the senior managers who may not have had an opportunity to learn human resource management as a specialization. So you are there to advise on various human resource functions. Be it training, you advise that if your organization wants to freeze training, you advise why freezing training may not be helpful. Or if it's freezing recruitment, you advise. Or if it is compensation, again, you advise. Even on matters disciplinary, I've had people complain that they are told to dismiss an employee without following due process. And again, you come in as an advisor on the risks of terminating an employee without following due process. So those are the roles of a HR manager in talent management. There are many other roles. As a rider, let me say, these are not the only ones. There are thousands of others that we can play in order to make our talent management effective. Allow me now to go to the next part, that is part 2 of the talent management fundamentals, where we started with 1, introduction to talent management, and secondly, we are now looking at strategic workforce planning. By definition, strategic workforce planning is about forecasting or anticipating future HR requirements and how they can be met. The how is key because we are looking at recruitment is one of the hows, training is one of the hows, appraisal is one of the hows. So we anticipate by way of forecasting future supply and demand of labor. Supply and demand are affected by environmental factors, both internal and external. Internally, we are affected by strategy, a change in strategy. We are also affected by change in leadership, and we are also affected by the technology within. Externally, our workforce forecast can be affected by emerging technologies, political environment, economic, social, and ecological factors. So we take all this into consideration and project into the future and find out how are demand and supply going to be affected. Where we are likely to introduce new technology, demand for labor is likely to reduce. And therefore, we scale down on recruitment and selection, or we retrench. We prepare retrenchment plans. The focus of workforce planning is to ensure that the right people do the right things at the right time. Allow me to emphasize and repeat that the right people have skills, knowledge, experience, and abilities, as well as attitude. These are the right people. These are the right people to attract, and these are the right people to retain. Right roles, these are the jobs they are doing. As I indicated, we should allocate jobs to people who are qualified. Otherwise, there will be a mismatch in the jobs, and we end up with three things. One, a frustrated employee. Two, a dissatisfied employee. And three, an exiting employee. There are two ways of exiting: quiet exit and two, loud exit. Those quiet exits are people who are applying for jobs out there quietly without even mentioning it. And those loud exits are people who are making noise that this organization is not the right one for me. And the next thing they do is to walk away. So when you assign people the right roles, they are likely to be motivated, they are likely to be satisfied, and they are likely to be committed. On focus, again, workforce planning focuses on people who are doing things at the right time. What is the right time? I can look at the right time in two ways. One, during the day. The right time for the day is 8 to 5, depending on your work arrangement. And two, the work week. It can be from Monday to Friday or Monday to Saturday. For some organizations, the week ends on Friday, and for others, the week ends on Saturday. Sunday should be a resting day. And if people have to work on a Sunday, we know what to do. The compensation should be double the normal amount because that is overtime. The objective of strategic planning is to bridge the gap between demand and supply. Where supply is more than demand, there is a gap. Which gap is this? Surplus. Where demand is more than supply, there is a gap. Which gap is this? A deficit. So these gaps of deficits and surpluses should be bridged through workforce planning so that we have the right number of people at the right time, at the right places. We should not have gaps. What does it cover in terms of areas? One, staffing, which means recruitment and selection. Two, skills and development, which means the training and development. And then succession planning, preparing people for senior positions. So workforce planning covers these three key areas. What is the framework for workforce planning? It's about providing structure. Workforce planning provides a structure in the way in which HR managers can proceed relating to recruitment. How do you proceed? Training, how do you proceed? Performance management, how do you do that? So this structured model helps organizations to be one, predictable, and two, consistent. And that brings about sustainability in management. Lastly, what's the outcome of strategic workforce planning? Is to ensure that we are future ready in terms of our workforce. Future ready organizations are those that have prepared adequately their employees so that they can face the future. The future is uncertain. The future can be complex. The future can be ambiguous. When we prepare our strategic workforce planning, we are able to develop scenarios. Scenarios are a future situations or conditions. And that will make us or prepare us for that future so that we can even work backwards. That is what you call backfill strategy. Where you want to be in 2030, you start working backward. That in 2030, you want to be a market leader, for example, in the sale of computers. So in 2029, what will you have achieved? In 2028, what will you have done? 2027, what will you have done? Up to today, what do you need to do now in order to be that market leader? So in strategic workforce planning, the focus, the outcome is to ensure that we are ready as an organization and as employees to survive in the changing environment. Allow me to address myself to the scope of workforce planning. And that goes back to what we mentioned earlier, like activities. Some of them are activities, and we plan around this. We plan around recruitment where demand is more than supply. That means there is a shortage. We prepare hiring plans. In development, we look at the changes in our environment and the performance of our employees. Where there are skill gaps, we develop our employees. And how do we do that? We conduct a TNA, training needs analysis. And through development, we are able to develop training programs that will continuously help to upskill or reskill employees. Thirdly is retention. But in workforce planning, we develop strategies that will help to keep the employees engaged and motivated. Retention. I indicated earlier that where demand and supply are equal, there is an equilibrium, which means that you have enough employees in terms of skills, knowledge, experience, and abilities. Then you prepare retention plans if you have enough employees. And again, retention plans are many. One, internally equitable and externally competitive reward and a compensation system. Two, training and development. Three, recognition. And four is creating a conducive work environment. Then another area is succession planning, where we prepare our current crop of employees for future leadership or critical roles. Critical roles are those that make the organization survive, meaning that without these roles, an organization cannot achieve its objectives. So when you are doing job analysis, you should be able to identify those critical roles and therefore prepare succession plans for junior staff so that there is seamless replacement of exiting employees. The other area is technology. We are talking about digital tools. I've mentioned digital tools like one, AI, artificial intelligence. Two, ATS, that is automated tracking systems. Three, LMS, and four, PMS. LMS is learning management system. PMS is performance management system. In HR, for some of us, we have two systems which are integrated with digital tools. One, ERPs, enterprise resource planning, or two, human resource information systems. For others, especially for data protection and knowledge management, we have knowledge management systems. So you have a variety of options that you can consider in your workforce planning. Where you anticipate changes in technology, especially in the AI space, you are likely to scale down on the number of your employees and upskill people in terms of technological tools so that people can use these technologies effectively. So in talent management, especially in terms of recruitment, where technology is going to be adopted, recruitment suffers because you reduce the number of employees, and training increases because you need people with digital skills. Lastly is about evaluation, that in every process, you need to monitor how effective the activities or initiatives have been. Effectiveness is about measurement of outcomes. As HR managers, for us to be said to add value, we need to move away from activities and processes and focus more on two things. One, outcomes, and two, outputs. So if it is recruitment, what is the outcome and output, which will add value? If it's training, what is the outcome? If it is performance management, we focus on outcomes. And in this way, we are able to argue our case, especially to top management, in terms of adding value to the organization. So that when you ask for a budget increment, the management appreciates the value that is being brought by the human resource department. Next is core elements of workforce planning. May have mentioned some of them. Demand forecasting. This is estimating the number and the quality of employees. As I indicated earlier, the number must be right. Two, the quality must be right. So you estimate the future quality of employees and the numbers. And what's the basis for this estimation? One, changes in our environment, and two, business growth. When businesses are growing, it has human resource implications, sorry. It has HR implications. One, you need more people. Two, you need to train more people, especially if you are doing international business. And three, you need different methods of performance appraisal, especially when you are operating in a global market. Secondly, supply analysis, where supply is the number of people you are likely to have in the future or you currently have. And again, you look at those two aspects. One, supply in terms of skills and knowledge, and two, supply in terms of numbers. Do you have adequate numbers to achieve the corporate objectives? If there are less, you recruit. If there are more, which means that the staffing cost is higher, you reduce. And then you compare between demand and supply, you will identify gaps. Supply and demand helps to address critical gaps, such as surpluses or shortages. We desire as HR managers to avoid surpluses and shortages. When we have a surplus, then the wage bill balloons. And even organizations that have more than enough resources may not want to have excess staff. And for shortages, we also avoid that, because once we have a shortage, three things may happen. One, some people may be overworked. Two, burnout. And three, possible exit. And that is not what we intend to achieve in talent management. For us to add value, we look at the retention rates. So shortages can cause problems in our organization in terms of performance, and in terms of exits. And then after identifying the gaps, we take actions. What actions do we take? We recruit where there are shortages. We retrench where there are surpluses. We train where there is a shortage of skills and knowledge. And then we restructure where there are excesses. Restructure. What are the methods of restructuring? One, downsizing. Two, is what we call right sizing. That's part of restructuring, right sizing. And three, redesigning. You can redesign your structure so that it can be flatter instead of being tall and broad-based. Or you can redesign jobs through job rotation, job enlargement, and job enrichment. So those are the actions that will arise from the gaps that we'll have identified. Then we need to implement those action plans. And there are three things that you can do when you are implementing. One, you assign duties. Duties to people who will do the recruitment, the training, the restructuring. Two, you allocate resources. Allocate resources for recruitment, training, and restructuring. And then monitor progress. Ensure that everything is done according to plan. And where there are deviations, actions should be taken in time. So when you are implementing three things, assign duties, allocate resources, and monitor progress. Lastly is evaluation. Evaluation is measurement of the effectiveness of the workforce strategies. The strategies are the action plans in recruitment, training, and restructuring. When you evaluate, you are measuring. You can measure in two ways. One, quantitatively, and two, qualitatively. Quantitative measures include numericals, such as numbers or frequencies or percentages. Non-numerical, we use Likert scale, where we are measuring like the level of satisfaction, where we are saying 1, low satisfaction, and 5, very high satisfaction. By using a Likert scale, we are able to determine the level of satisfaction with any of the initiatives in workforce planning or talent management. So measurement is very important because you are able to determine the direction in which you are going, and two, the results that you are achieving or you are making. So those are the key elements of workforce planning. What are the benefits before I ask a few questions? One is about efficiency. Efficiency is about reduction of costs or using resources optimally. As I indicated earlier, we need to optimize our human resources. One, by assigning them the right jobs. Two, by assigning them enough tasks. And three, by allocating jobs within their scope. Efficiency also helps to reduce redundancies. Redundancy is about having excess workforce or repetitive tasks. So when two people are doing repetitive roles, then that's duplication. Redundancy arises. Redundancy, on the other hand, could be excess staff. When we conduct our workforce planning, we need to ensure that there are no excesses. And that is why we said earlier, workforce planning is about ensuring three things: the right number and the quality of people, doing the right things, and at the right time. Talking of the right numbers, where redundancy comes in, that if you have the right number, then you don't experience redundancy, which affects our compensation, training, and the performance expenses, which increases the wage bill. Preparedness, that when we prepare effective human resource plans, which are strategic in nature, we are able to anticipate future staffing changes like in technological areas, and then make adequate plans or measures to ensure that we don't have shortages or surpluses of talent. There are many changes that take place in our environment. For example, technology, we need to prepare our employees for that technology. 2, economic, especially right now, we are experiencing an economic problem or challenge in the country. So we are prepared in case the economy performs even poorly in the future. But we are hopeful that our economy will rebound so that we are on the growth trajectory. Thirdly, workforce planning helps us to stabilize our organizations. There are many ways of stabilizing our organizations. 1, ensuring succession plans are in place. 2, ensuring retention plans are in place. And 3, ensuring that training plans are in place. This ensures business continuity, that at no time we are experiencing gaps. If there are gaps in skills, we always train them. If there are gaps in leadership, we prepare succession plans. If there are gaps in career development, we prepare career development. Second last is growth. I indicated earlier that growth is about expansion, and an organization can expand in 2 ways. 1, in terms of markets, where you are opening branches, either locally or internationally. Or 2, in terms of products. That's what you call product development. Talking of market expansion, for example, we are now in the East African, we are a member of the East African community. Some of our organizations may want to open branches elsewhere, like Rwanda, Burundi, Somalia, Tanzania, and elsewhere. If that is our plan, an expansion plan, we will require to hire new employees. And especially when you are dealing with the international recruitment and the selection, you may want to consider 3 strategies in order to fill those vacant positions. 1, host country nationals, where the host country where you are opening a business, you hire people from there. For example, you are opening a branch in Tanzania, you hire Tanzanians because they are the host country. Why? Because of the culture. 2, because of avoidance of resistance. And 3, as it happened before, xenophobia in South Africa, where locals fear that you are coming to take their jobs. Secondly, when you are recruiting for international positions, you can do parent country nationals. Parent is like Kenya, a Kenyan organization going to Uganda. You hire Kenyans, and this is what you call expatriates. You take them to Uganda. What do you need in terms of expatriate preparation? You train them if they are not yet experienced in the Ugandan environment. So training becomes key. Or you hire people who have already experienced internationally. And lastly, the last approach when you are opening branches elsewhere is the third country nationals, where you are hiring somebody from outside East Africa to work in any of the countries. So you go to Liberia, bring a Liberian to work in Uganda. Or go to Europe, bring a European to work in Uganda. Or go to Asia, China, bring somebody from China to work in Uganda. So those are approaches when you talk about growth, especially market growth, where you are opening branches elsewhere in the world. And that is what you call FDI, foreign direct investment, where you are opening offices in foreign countries. Lastly is competitive edge. We achieve a competitive advantage because of efficient workforce planning. How? We hire the right people. 2, we train them. 3, we prepare career plans. 4, we compensate them competitively. And 5, we prepare succession plans. To be said to have a competitive advantage, it means you have the best employees, the best. The best employees, like I indicated, are 1, unique in terms of skills and knowledge. 2, inimitable. And 3, unique. Now it's upon us to identify those unique employees who can help to achieve that competitive advantage. What are the challenges that face HR managers when they are preparing a strategic workforce plan? 1 is uncertainty. Allow me to go back to a concept that we may have interacted with. That is VUCA, V-U-C-A-A. V-U-C-A. V stands for volatile, meaning that it is changing quickly. U, it's uncertain. That's where uncertainty comes in there. C is complex, and A is ambiguous. Talking of uncertainty, it means that we are not able to predict with certainty or with precision changes in our environment. Changes in the market, changes in the economy, changes in politics, changes in technology, all disrupt our workforce. For example, changes in the market, we are talking about market in terms of suppliers, market in terms of competitors. So we don't know what the competitors may do tomorrow. So what we need to do is to continuously observe the strategic moves of our competitors, so that if they make a move in terms of their human resources, we also make a move. But it's always advisable to be a market leader in everything that you do, be it recruitment, training, and other functions. Be a market leader so that others can imitate you. Why? Because you achieve the first mover advantage. First mover advantage is that you make benefits for being the first one to do something in the market, so that by the time others come into the market, you are already benefiting or moving to another market, so that you always are ahead of the competition. Economic changes, we have very little to do about it. We only need to adapt. So if it's an economy like Kenya and finances are hard to come by, we need to adapt in terms of our human resource planning. So what do we need to do in hard economic times like today? 1, freeze employment. 2, focus on core functions. 3, renegotiate the compensation levels of our employees. Somebody can ask, Mwalimu, how do you renegotiate? Yes, it's allowed even in the Employment Act that you cannot reduce somebody's salary without his or her consent, except through negotiation. So if you can negotiate and agree on a lower pay, then that is a strategic option. Another option is to retrench. So if organizations are not making enough finances or revenues, the other option is to downsize. For politics, we have very little to do. Again, we need to adapt, like what happened last year during Gen Z demonstrations. So many of us adapted. And how do we adapt during such political instabilities? 1 is home working. Allow people to work from home, especially those who are performing non-essential functions. If not, you can do a combination of on-site and off-site working that is called a hybrid system in case of political changes. Technology disruption, we have talked about automation and AI. When we automate services like recruitment and selection, there are certain processes that are likely to be affected. For example, we may not need to hire people to shortlist candidates when we use automation. So we key in our specifications into the system, and the system picks the people with those qualifications that we are looking for. And then the rest are discarded so that we shorten the time of recruitment. For AI, we said that it's about mimicking human intelligence, that AI can think on our behalf, even in terms of data collection, data analysis, data interpretation. AI works very effectively in terms of producing the desired results. So the earlier we adopt AI in our processes, the better, because we will be left behind. And through this automation, we are redefining the way we manage our talents, including recruitment, training, performance management, among others. Another challenge is talent shortage. I mentioned earlier on in the introduction to talent, limited availability of skilled labor, especially in a technological environment like ours, where we are talking about shortages of data analysts, data scientists, AI gurus, or other technological systems. The other one is demographic shifts. Like today, especially in public sector, the aging workforce is a real challenge. There are quite many employees who are about to retire, but there are no suitable replacements. Or public sector organizations are slow to hire new employees. Therefore, you have an aging workforce, which becomes a challenge. I'm not saying that aging people cannot perform. Yes, they can. But in terms of agility, they take a longer time to adapt. Why? Because the time taken to unlearn certain practices is longer compared to younger people. Younger people learn. They have very little to unlearn. But older people have more to unlearn in technology than young people. And then generational diversity, the Gen Zs, the millennials, the baby boomers, as well as Generation X. We are all there in the mix, and how to balance this is a real challenge because of the different needs of these generations. The Generation Z want more flexible work. Generation X and boomers want more stability. Generation Z wants more of gig assignments, and the Generation X and millenniums want permanent jobs. So balancing between gigs, permanent jobs, and even online working can become a real challenge for many of us HR managers. Another challenge is resistance to change. And this happens when resistance is not managed, that change is not managed well. Effective management of change requires four things. One, involvement of all the stakeholders. Two, communication, effective communication. Three, training of employees about the change. And four, anticipating resistance. And when you anticipate resistance, sometimes we use change agents so that we have champions who can promote the changes that we want to introduce. In talent management, there are many changes we introduce, such as retrenchment. If we have excess staff, resistance may arise. Two, we may need to adopt technology. The older generation may resist because they may not have adequate skills to deal with the new technologies. So resistance to change can be managed, but if it's not managed well, it can affect talent management. Data limitations. As I indicated again, we operate using data. Data in recruitment, data in training, data in performance management, data in disciplinary processes, among others. Without accurate and incomplete data, then decision-making might be affected. We again make inaccurate or poor decisions because of data limitations. And again, we are aware of the amount of data that is around us. We are talking about the communication or data superhighway. There's a lot of information that's flowing around us. So for us to survive, we need to develop systems that can help to pick out the volumes of data that are passed around us so that we are able to make good decisions. Lastly is the amount of money spent in all the areas of talent management, such as recruitment, training, performance, and succession planning. We all have or are operating on string budgets. And because of that, we need to spend our money sparingly. Talking of training as an expense, some organizations have to scale down on their training budget without necessarily freezing training completely. Why? Because without training, there are certain skills that employees may require necessary for organizational survival. And therefore, we need to identify those core functions or roles in which we can train people. Otherwise, if we don't train people completely, then we face the challenge of, one, employee stagnation, two, lack of succession plans, and three, increased turnover. So cost is a challenge. And for us to survive, we need to develop innovative strategies in order to ensure that we operate within our budgetary limits. What's the role of HR? And again, I mentioned this, automation. As HR managers, we must encourage automation of certain processes or services like recruitment, training, performance management. This not only reduces cost, but also improves results. Secondly is real-time dashboards. These are tools that employees can be encouraged to use, where they can post their innovative ideas, they can appraise their fellow employees, or even make suggestions for improvement. So these dashboards can be used well, either within the human resource information systems or within knowledge management systems. I'm sure you will be on your way to success. Remote working, especially after COVID, we encourage people to work from home, and in some cases do a hybrid plan where people can work from home and also come to the workplace physically. Maybe physical workplace attendance 2 days and online 3 days. And if it is not possible to do a hybrid plan, then you can allow fun days, online fun days, where employees who are working online can play games with their colleagues online. This will help to kill boredom, to reduce stress, and to get in touch with other employees in the organization, as well as know what is going on. Employee engagement and retention. We need, as HR managers, to ensure that our employees are engaged in two ways. They have enough tasks to do, and two, they are committed to the organization. For retention, we need to develop strategies for keeping our employees for a long time, especially those occupying key roles or critical roles and have the requisite skills and knowledge. Another role is ensuring efficiency. Another one for efficiency is about optimization of human resources. You can adopt technology or assign people the right duties. Lastly is about scalability. Technology allows HR managers to accommodate new changes if need be. So through technology, we are able to expand or even sometimes reduce operations because these technologies are expandable or can be made to be elastic. Then the role of HR, we need to forecast, that's project into the future by way of workforce planning, to develop our employees through upskilling and reskilling, 3, recruitment, hire the right people, 3, retention, keep those top talent in our employment, and lastly, advisory. What are the best practices before we conclude? 1, adopt analytics. For us HR managers, we may not have a choice going forward. Sticking to the traditional way of doing things of hiring, training, and others without analytics, we may not be doing justice to ourselves. We need to be agile by moving into data analytics and the data science space so that we encourage data-based decision making. Secondly, stakeholder involvement so that we can reduce resistance, promote ownership, and also ensure best results. Scenario planning is about anticipating several situations and outcomes, and that can be done through effective human resource planning. You prepare several scenarios. For example, you want to introduce new technology or automate certain services. One scenario is training. These people might need training. Another scenario, retrenchment. These people are likely to be retrenched. Another scenario is career planning. How are we going to prepare careers in the technological space? So those are different scenarios which you have to think about and take measures, proactive measures to deal with those different scenarios. And then as a best practice, adoption of technology, which I've said in the last slide, that through technology, we are able to achieve all this. We are able to forecast, develop our employees, recruitment through automation, retain our employees, and even measure our performance. Continuous review of all the functions like recruitment training, so that we take care of the changes taking place in our environment, or if not, we are able to be resilient. Lastly is transparency, so that everything is done above board. There are no hidden cards. Everybody is able to see everything, except for those top secrets. But if we conduct our talent management activities like recruitment training, they should all be transparent. What is the future trend of workforce planning? One is the use of AI, especially in recruitment, training, and performance. We cannot avoid this. 2, we are going to see more of a gig economy, where work is going to be assignment or project-based, and is likely to be flexible, temporary. Because a gig is like a project, once it's over, somebody moves to the next assignment. Globalization, we operate in a global environment where we are interconnected. So aspects like training, recruitment, performance management are going to borrow a lot from what is going on in the global market. So we watch what is happening elsewhere in Britain, in France, in America, in China, and borrow best practices. Without borrowing these best practices, we are likely to lose our employees. For example, in the health sector, You look at hospitals in our countries, they are losing their top talent, especially nurses, clinicians, and doctors. Where are these employees going? To Europe, to America. What we are experiencing, therefore, is brain drain. If we were to manage our talent effectively, then we should not worry about globalization. Why? Because we should be able to develop retention strategies so that our employees may not have to leave for greener pastures. The other future is diversity, that working in silos is no longer going to work. We're going to see more of collaboration, more of networking, and more of teamwork. So without these collaborative efforts, we are likely to fail in workforce planning. Remote working, I've mentioned it, you can either do complete virtual work or hybrid. Depending on what works for you, we are going to see more of virtual teams and hybrid. And then sustainability in two ways. One, environmental sustainability, and two, organizational sustainability. Environmental has to do with the initiatives we put in place to ensure that we do not deplete our environment in terms of vegetation, we don't pollute our environment, and we do not also depreciate our environment by way of deforestation. The second sustainability is organization surviving for a long time. When we have a working workforce plan, we are able to prepare succession plan, career development plans, and retention plans. So ladies and gentlemen, those are the aspects we are going to witness in the future in terms of talent management. I now want to invite questions, comments, and compliments related to strategic workforce planning so that we can close the session. So in strategic workforce planning, we covered several things. One is the background or the introduction. Two is the scope. Three is the core elements. Four is the benefits of workforce planning. Five, challenges. Six, the role of technology. Seven, role of HR managers. And lastly, best practices and the future trends in workforce planning. So the floor is ours. Please ask your questions, make your comments so that we can close. And in no particular order, please, Debbie, ask your question or make a comment. Debbie?
Yes.
Any question or comment that you may have?
Okay, thank you. I don't have any questions, but I want to appreciate the lessons and maybe to just let you know that, yeah, I needed this and I'm taking it in. So just excited to having the other modules.
Thank you very much, Amy. I'm happy that this program is adding value to you and to your organization. Cleophas, if you have a question.
None from me, Bonondari. Thank you so much. I followed through. It's been very rich and look forward for subsequent sessions.
Thank you, Cleophas, and may God bless you. Aditi Rajput.
Hi, it was a very insightful session, so thank you for that. I don't have any questions.
Okay, lastly, Evelyn, if you have anything to say, please do.
To appreciate the presentation, very insightful, and most importantly, take home is professionalism, documentation, and engaging other stakeholders in the institution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Evelyn. And on that note, I want to thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your participation. I look forward to seeing you again next week on Saturday. Have a good day and may God bless you.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye for now.
God bless you. Bye.
Thank you.